Howdy everyone, Slap Me Thrice, aka Phil here again, and I'm going to be quick, I promise, for me, and yes, my board has changed a lot since you last saw it, if you did see it. I don't recommend going back and checking the previous video I did last year. It was about an hour and a half long. I talk a lot, I try not to, but that's just how it goes, I'm afraid. Okay, so without further ado, because I'm going to get a lot of negative comments, probably people saying, dude, just hurry up. So let's get to the pedals. This is my pedal board. You have probably seen it a few times because I'm pretty proud of it and I tend to link pictures to it wherever I possibly can. So yes, running through the signal chain, first of all, of course, it has to be the Miku. That is running to a boost pedal. It's a cheap kind of Chinese clone. I'll see if I can get a shot underneath the board. You can just kind of make it out there. It's a Mosky micro amp kind of clone. It's nothing too special about that. It's pretty basic, but that's always on. I just like how the micro amp kind of boost sounds, so I just leave it on all the time. That's under there. That runs, comes out of there straight into the front of my PXL Pro. That basically is connected to most of my board, but there are several pedals that aren't, and I'll get to that in a minute. So from the PXL, I've got in order, if I can remember the order, yes, the Treble Overdrive from E&O. This is another clone, obviously. It's an OCD circuit in there, which I love. I've got an Ultimate Drive that I've had on my board for a good 3, maybe 4 years now. I absolutely love that. But when I came to doing this board, I needed as much space as possible, so I ended up searching for a micro-sized version, and this is what I went with. I've had a few E&O pedals before, really like them, so I went with this. Really happy with it. Some of these E&O pedals, you find the switches can be a little bit wobbly, but as you can see, this one and this one as well are pretty much solid. So I don't know whether they've improved things over the past year or so, because last year I bought quite a few E&O pedals and pretty much all of them had a really wobbly main knob on the centre. Knob. So I went with that, and I've not been disappointed at all. They've both sounded incredible. So yeah, that runs into PXL. That also goes to the Rat clone, the Myomorpha distortion. That's next to it in the chain, in the switcher, I mean. Then I have got my pitchfork over here. That's quite... I was toying whether to go first in the chain or not, but to be honest, I've not really noticed a massive difference whether it's before or after my gain. I don't know if it's more of a specific whammy kind of trait, Digitech whammy thing, or what, but I don't know. I've never really had a whammy properly, so I can't really compare that too much, but it sounds fine there, so I'm happy. I might experiment a little bit with my next board setup, we'll see. Coming back then, this is, it's easy to see this one, the fourth loop in this switcher goes to the chorus. This is, I've maintained a few times, one of my favourite chorus pedals that I've tried. It's only about £15 on eBay, which I don't know in dollars what that would be off the top of my head, but it is not much. It is pennies, and for what you get for the sound quality, it's amazing. Absolutely incredible. I will show you what all this stuff sounds like later, but yeah, that one's one of my favourite chorus pedals. coming back, this is where things start to get a little bit more interesting, because one of the things I love about this switcher is that you can divide these two channels of loops and put things between them, which I found basically essential to what I wanted to do. So I like the volume pedal between my drive section and my modulation, if I can. Obviously, with this setup, I had to put the chorus before it, but I'm not too bothered about that. I don't tend to use them both at the same time. So I've got my Ernie Ball volume mounted between these two channels, so I can swell the drive sounds into my reverbs and delays, which I really like. I've also got the EQ as well mounted in between these two channels. That's basically always on as well. It's off at this moment for some reason. I can't remember why I turned that off now. But yeah, that's always on. It's not affected by the loop switcher. I can access that whenever I want, just as I can access the volume pedal whenever I want. So that was very important to me. I didn't want that to only be able to be accessed if I've got the relevant channel or loop access on here. You will notice a glaring space right in the center here where this is at the moment. I will get to that in a second, but basically there used to be a Boss SL20 slicer in there. Sorry, I just had to pause there for a moment while I put my cat out of the way. She was meowing her head off. Okay, so yeah, getting back to where I was. Those two pedals are outside of the switcher. Trying to think, I don't think there's anything else outside between the two channels. No, I think that's it. Yeah, so next in line in the second bank is the mighty Zoom MultiStomp 70 CDR. I've only just got into this pedal. It's an angle, you can see the screen. It's got the warp phaser on there at the moment. Yeah, I only just got this pedal about 2 months ago, something like that, and I have no idea how it passed me by this long. It's amazing. Everything it does really well. And yeah, I will get to that a little bit more later, but it's an amazing tool to have in your arsenal. It can do a hell of a lot. Next, after that, we have got my Memory Man. This was a purchase last month, or beginning of the month before that, I think, end of the month before that, I mean. This replaced my Memory Boy Deluxe, which I absolutely adored. I did not think I was going to sell it, get rid of it, or anything. But ultimately what I wanted to do was to have an analog delay and a digital delay both hooked up to a tap tempo switch to control both at the same time, to sync them up together. So I was planning to get my Memory Boy sent off for a mod to add an external tap switch, and I had no idea that this version of the Memory Man actually has a tap switch already on it. Not plugged in at the moment, because I've had an issue basically with this one, because I think it's probably to do with the previous owner has modified this particular tap switch to be a soft switch, which is very nice. Much more user-friendly than the big, chunky, clunky, horrible things that EHX give you. However, I don't know if they've done something wrong there, because I will just pause a second and plug this back in to show you. Okay, just hook this back up again, and you can see the tap divide is going nuts, completely on its own, and if you adjust the rates knob, it goes faster or slower, but it just does not turn off as long as this is plugged in. So you can turn it all the way down, and you get as you can tell. Which is not great. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it sounds pretty cool, but not what I want. So yeah, so this ideally should tap the tempo of both, and it does. It's just this does that as well. So it changes the tap tempo of this and this. So they're both blinking in unison, more or less. But yeah, I can't figure out what's going on there. I need to... well, if any of you know what's going on there, then help me out. But unless I just leave that tap switch unplugged, that's what I get from this pedal. Other than that, this delay is amazing. I love it. I don't really plan on selling it or getting rid of it. I would far rather fix it if I can and keep it long term. But then that's what I said about the Memory Boy, so who knows. Right, getting back to this, the next in line is the digital delay, or the DD20, or Giga Delay rather, I should say. And this is also a new acquisition. About the same time as I bought the Memory Man, I got this. So there was a lot of... Actually, it was about the same time I got the MultiStomp as well. So it was a very ambient period for me. Yeah, this... I've basically been looking for a digital delay for a long time that kept me satisfied with everything that I wanted to do. Everything I wanted a digital delay to do. This has... a lot of features. It can do an awful lot of things, which is usually a deal breaker for me. I don't like pedals that can do a lot of stuff, which is kind of why I've kind of shied away from things like this in the past. But the reason why I love this so much is the presets, the memory slots that you can actually save and scroll. I've got this set up at the moment, so the right foot switch, because this is controlling the tap tempo, this is now freed up to be, you can program this to only work the presets, so you can scroll through the memory slots and have a different delay, a different set of parameters, different tempos and everything, all basically programmed into one of these 4 slots, and then just scroll through them. And you can have the LEDs set up to either just be one at a time, like that, all the way along, or, as I prefer to have it, all lit up at the same time. Mainly because if I've ever got a gig or anything I'm playing and that's quite dark, I like to be able to see exactly which preset I'm in on this pedal. So that's why I've got that set up like that. And then that's the last pedal I've got in the chain. No, it's not. I tell a lie. Sorry. I've got my Shapeshifter Tremolo. This is also a pedal I've kind of been wanting to get for a while, or it's the kind of tremolo that I've been wanting to get for a while. This can do a lot as well, but I only really use it for a fairly simple effect, but the fact that it has tap tempo on it is really what makes this pedal. For me, tap tempo is just, as you can probably tell, is pretty important. I do love it, and yeah, I absolutely love it. It's fantastic. That being said, it is going out the door very soon, because I have just purchased this in the early hours of this morning after I had been paid. I've got a Red Mountain Tremolo from Swindler FX winging its way to me, hopefully in the next few weeks. So this will be going out the door to fund that. But I'll be sad to see it go, because well, look at it for one thing. You can't really see in the light that well, but it's actually really glittery. Yeah, it just looks really awesome. It's like the only purple thing on the board, so it kind of stands out. And that light flashing away, telling you what tempo you're in, what kind of rate the tremolo is working at, is also really useful. Even when it's off, it's still flashing, which I really like. And yeah, that's everything in the PXL Pro. Coming back out of the PXL, we have the Digitech Hardwire RV7, which is an incredible reverb. You'll hear a bit of that later. And yeah, I'm not going to go much more through this because I've already been talking for ages, so I apologise. The other two things to talk about, or the other three things to talk about, I have a phaser on my board that's also... trying to think what else is going into that. I can't quite remember now. But yeah, the phaser is somewhere in my chain. I've got a feeling that's in between my... yes, that's after my volume pedal, I forgot to mention. That's between the two loops as well, the phaser, so I can turn that on whenever I want. But as I say, it was mainly just filling a space because I put this tap tempo switch in here and then I had a gap. So I was like, oh, what can I put in there? Oh, I know, I'll stick this phaser in. So I don't use it to be honest, very often. But it is great. It's for a tiny little cheap Rowan phaser. It's actually really nice. I probably will keep it and put it on my next board. Probably more at the beginning of the chain though. So the other two things on the board are this and this. So this one loop utility loop pedal is controlling the effects loop of this. So if you notice, I've got the two blue patch leads coming out of the send and return of this pedal. That is going over here into here, and the brightest LED known to man. It's ridiculous. And that is then isolating these two, this send and return, coming up to the I forget which set of inputs and outputs. Okay. I'm forgetting what I've even done myself with this board. Okay, yes. So this is going into the secondary inputs and outputs of this mod core. So whatever effect I want on the repeats only of the memory man, I can select from here. And not only have I got this running through the ins and outs, the stereo ins and outs of this pedal, I've also got that coming into the stereo ins and outs of this as well. So if I want, I can have... I usually have this off because... I forgot that's on the deluxe mode. Yes, so I can have the effects from this and the effects from this interchanging, and I can turn one off or the other, and that basically just gives me a little bit more control over the kind of repeats that I want from the memory man. So I will show that a bit later as well. And yeah, moving on, the mod core is in the chain. The first inputs and outputs are in the chain immediately after the pitchfork. So you can see this is why I was getting confused before, because the blue patch lead coming out of the pitchfork is running into the input of the mod core, and then that blue output is going into the blue input again, the return of the PXL. So that's why I was getting confused. I didn't notice that I'd even done that myself. So if I want to, and I often do, I can have this set to a rotary as well as the pitchfork. In fact, I can probably show you that. No, I'll show you later. That basically can then give me an organ sound if I have the pitch up and down. There we go. if I have the pitch up and down and the blend about 50%, that gives you quite a nice organ kind of a sound, and then with the rotary as well, that just enhances the effect. So I can essentially get kind of like a budget B9, C9 kind of a thing going on my board. I did have that rigged up before I got the MultiStomp, which also has an organ effect in it, so I probably won't bother with that setup next time round. But yeah, as you can probably appreciate, I can do quite a lot with this board, and I'm extremely happy with it. The SL20 slicer I mentioned before, that was sold literally this week in order to fund half fund the purchase of the Red Mountain Tremolo, and also to kind of partially fund another new pedal I also bought last night, which is the Red House Electronics Midnight Phaser. So I said before I'd probably keep that phaser, but I don't know if I will, if I've got that coming, to be honest. I'd forgotten about that. So yeah, those two pedals are much smaller than, well, probably about the same size as the SL20 slicer, so I could probably fit both of them on there, although I'm going to be losing the shapeshifter as well. So I'm going to have quite a bit of space opening up on this board the next time round, which is always a good thing, because as you can see, things are getting cramped, and it's not good. Okay, so thank you for your patience. This has been about 22 minutes now of literally just me talking, so I will definitely link, when I post this, the timestamp for when to skip to avoid listening to my incredibly unmanly voice. Thanks everyone. I'm now going to pause and carry on setting up my guitar and stuff, so I'll play through some of my favourite settings on this board. Thanks. Okay, first off, I'm going to demonstrate the Nux chorus, the CH3, the bright yellow thing on my board. So this is how that sounds. So that's the Nux. Love that thing. Sounds incredible. I don't use it anywhere near as much as I should do. Moving on. Okay, now I've got my pitchfork and the mod core set up. As I told you about before, I've got this set up now as an organ kind of a sound with the blend knob on the pitchfork at 50% and the rotary effect selected on the mod core. and it sounds pretty authentic. I think you will agree. Think you'll agree that sounds pretty nice. I really like it. I really like that sound. I don't use it a lot, again, but it's there if I need it. And without the mod core on, still sounds good, but that rotary effect just kind of makes it, I think. So this pedal, if you don't know, can do an awful lot as well. So turning the blend up a little bit more and an octave down. Get a bit of a bass thing going. You can go a little bit more blend. Which is really cool. Octave up, going the other way. So turning the blend about 50% gives you quite a nice addition of both the clean sound and the wet signal. I really like that. Love that pedal, fantastic, never going to get rid of that one. Moving on to the next sound. Okay, here's another favourite from previous video I did. This is my Miku, which I always use with my volume pedal and the reverb over in the corner. And if you've not already seen it, heard it, it sounds a little bit like this. Go and get yourselves a Miku, people. So much fun. Love it. Next sound. Okay, this is my Memory Man, which I have now unplugged the tap switch, and as you can see is behaving itself as it should do. All the tap divisions are only working when I push the button now, as you'd expect. So I don't know what the hell is going on in there. Expression mode as well, very cool, but I don't have an expression pedal plugged into it at the moment. That may change in the next incarnation of this board, who knows. So, this is the Memory Man. Great pedal, love it. I now am going to show you the effects loop. So get to a fairly standard. Yeah, this pedal now is going to activate both of these two pedals, and the stereo ins and outs, but only this is on. So you'll hear at the moment it's on a phaser setting. So the repeats only you will hear as the phaser. So you can turn this up a bit, you can hear it better. Maybe not quite that much. That's pretty cool, I think you'll agree. Turning that off and putting the mod core on, you can get rotary effects on the effects loop. I've got a phaser in here as well. I've got a chorus. Flanger. Go for a univibe. I think that's enough of that. You get the idea. There's a lot of stuff I can do with that as well. And with the zoom as well, you can program virtually any effect you want, which I'm going to go into a little bit now. Okay, this is starting to become a little bit longer now, this video, so sorry. This is now the MultiStomp, which I will now demonstrate. The first effect I've got saved on here, and there's a lot you can do with this pedal. I'm not going to go into everything now because that would be a video in itself. Plus, I'm pretty sure Happy Meal 98, hey dude, if you're listening, I'm pretty sure he's going to go into this pedal. He's got, like, has he got two of these? I think he's got two, and somebody's got two. I forget who it is. He's definitely got one anyway, so he probably will go into this in a little bit more detail, perhaps. But yeah, I've got a few effects that I love the most on this setup. This one I've got set up as kind of a, I've got it called outro on here, just because I feel like it would be a cool effect to kind of leave the stage with. If you can, you probably appreciate what I'm saying when I show you. So, imagine walking off stage, leaving your guitar and amp feeding back to this. Pretty cool. Not very usable in a, practical way, but yeah, just as a kind of background noise, I think it'd be quite cool. You can hear it kind of going away in the background a little bit. If I put this on as well, you can probably hear it more. A little bit too much feedback going on there, but you get the idea. So the next thing I've got going on is a shimmer reverb. Love that. I've got a flanger on here as well. Another phaser. This is what I had on before in the effects loop of the Memory Man. A little bit of an auto-wire kind of a sound to it almost, but yeah, that's a cool phaser sound. And there are, oh man, there's hundreds of thousands of things you can do with this pedal. I've got a PLL or data corruptor kind of type style effect in here as well. I made myself. Pretty cool. That's on the Zoom MultiStomp subreddit. If you want to go and check that out, I've got the parameters of what I've got on that pedal for that effect on there. By all means, go and check that out. It's a lot of fun to play around with that one. I've got a nice vibrato in here as well. Turn that off. Not a massive user of vibrato, but that's quite a nice version of it, I think. So that's the MS70 CDR. Trying to think if there's I've got the Giga Delay to show you that, and then we're done, I promise. Okay, I'm now on the Giga Delay. I'll move this over a little bit so you can see a bit better. So this is, as I've already said, a beast of a thing. So, we've got quite a few settings in here. I'm not going to run through them all, but I've got my presets in here that I particularly like. The first one I have on pretty much all the time is the twist setting. So it kind of works as a pretty standard digital delay on its own. Put the light on so I can see what I'm doing. But the great thing that I love about this is the momentary twist feature. So, strum a chord and then hold down the on switch does this. Or maybe a chord that actually exists. How about that? fantastic thing. I love doing that. It also has a kind of a hold feature on the warp setting. So it's only these two settings on the pedal that have the momentary feature on them. But in the warp setting, if you hold the momentary switch down, it basically holds the effect, kind of like a freeze. I like that as well. So, I forget what else I've got saved on here actually, because I mainly just used those first two. Yeah, I think that's an analog setting. So we've got reverse. Yeah, I'm not going to go through everything, but yeah, there's a lot going on in that pedal, and it's virtually all great. Shapeshifter, that was something I forgot. So the tremolo on this sounds like this. You can change the shape of the wave. So it's cool. I like to leave it on the more of a triangle thing. And the rate knob can be operated in two different ways. With the obviously the tap tempo can set the tempo, but you can also flick this switch to go with the ratio of 1 to 4, 2 to 4, 3 to 4, and 4 to 4. So obviously at the extreme settings that gets a bit crazy. Sorry, I keep playing that same thing, don't I? And that's your lot. I can't believe I kept this under an hour. That's incredibly good progress for me. It's probably like half the time I took last time. So, thanks everyone. Oops, hang on, let me just do a proper sign off. All sweaty now, so warm in here now with the amp going. Thanks everyone. Thank you for your patience, and or not, maybe you weren't patient at all watching this, maybe you were literally raging the entire time. I don't even care, to be honest. You can watch or not watch, it's fine, I don't mind. But yeah, if you watch the whole thing, thank you, I appreciate it. Love you guys lots, this sub is awesome, and can't think of anything else to add. So I'm just going to leave it there. Thanks everyone. Any questions, obviously feel free to comment and subscribe. Yeah, have a good day, and can't wait to see all the rest of you guys' videos as well. Looking forward to that one. Ta-ra, man.